Hello, and welcome to a talk about how to plan your gap year. My name is Milly Whitehead, and I run a company called The Leap, who specializes in volunteering adventures abroad. I've been doing this for the last 20 odd years. So I'm well placed and pretty experienced in helping you think and plan a gap year so that it's exciting, dynamic, and adventurous. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and be clever and share my screen with you and to show you this wonderful slideshow I've got prepared. Play from start. Right, here we go. So first thing that you could be thinking, you might not, because I can't see you sitting in the crowd and ask how many are going to be taking a gap year. But for those that are sitting on the fence, these are often the negatives that make people think, oh, really? Raising the money. It's not easy. That is one of the toughest parts of a gap year, but it is easily done once you focus on getting a job. And when I talk getting a job, this is not the time to get, very super helpful career enhancing internships. This is where you are going to do the hard graft, helping the bin men, working in Costa, pulling pints, babysitting, dog walking, anything you possibly can to raise, the goal being 300 quid a week. It could possibly, with the cost of living and inflation, be a bit more by the time you go on your gap year, but that is a good starting block. Okay, it is possible. The other question that people worry about, oh God, who am I going to travel with? We will discuss this later, but right now, what I want you to think about is you don't need anybody to travel with, okay? Right now, I want you to think, is a gap year right for me? Forget what your peers are doing. Third thing, universities. Yeah, now that is a tricky one, okay? We can't control what they do, but pretty much most universities are open and, well, they respect taking a gap year and they are open to deferring your offers. So don't worry about that. The last thing is, oh God, if I take a gap year, where do I start? Well, don't worry about that because that's where I step in. Planning it. 16 months, pretty, but actually it depends when we start this. But we're going to start from when you finish your exams. Okay. Next year, this time next year, you'll be in the thick of it. Then you will be out and about, nail your exams, and then have a fantastic summer. Just go for it. Go to all those festivals, go to the beach, go on all those family holidays, do what you need to do. But when it comes to September the 1st, you are going to knuckle down. That is when parents, like myself, get a little bit windy when they see you still sitting on the sofa eating the contents of their fridge. That's not what you're going to do. You are going to be out and about. You've got to pass your driving test and you've got to be freewheeling it so that you can grab every money-earning opportunity you can find. And there are so many, especially working in pubs, in helping caterers, especially running up to Christmas. There's loads of hamper packing jobs. In London, there's loads of kind of Christmas extra things, working in the big Harrods, those big stores, Fortnum and Masons. They are always looking for gappers. So you just need to put the hours in. Okay. So that 1st of September up until Christmas is your money earning zone. January, you are out of here, okay? Nobody wants to be in England in January. If you are, you're probably the only one of your friends that's left, and that will be tough when you see them all in these glorious, exciting places on Snap Maps, okay? So you want to go out somewhere exciting. But to do what? So there are 3 main things that people choose to do. Going out volunteering, going on a course, or going on an internship. Or of course, well, there is the 4th, which is independently backpacking, but we'll come to that down the line. starting off with volunteering, a lot of people say, well, what is this volunteering? Is it, helping, like kind of the food kitchen, soup kitchen at Christmas time? What does it actually involve? Well, it is super exciting. I think so, because this is what I have focused on for the last 20 odd years. Around the world are exceptional and exciting, dynamic people that are doing their bit. They're not government run. They're not filling in loads of tick boxes and having to appease loads of bureaucrats. No. They are just simple community projects. And that is who we as a company, I champion and want to support. Like this particular photo. This particular photo is one of our team that is in Costa Rica. And we have set up, the community, which all our gappers support, is this particular turtle conservation project on the beach at Santa Teresa. And it's just dynamic and helpful. And our leapers, they change the sand, they help releasing the babies into the sea. There's just so much to be done. But it's these little projects that make a huge difference. Okay. So when you're thinking, do I want to go and volunteer abroad? Yeah, you do. Just think about all those people and places who need your help, and you make a huge impact to their very existence. People often say, why do I have to pay to volunteer? Because their very existence relies on the income they get from you. So often you're just paying for your board and lodging, and in turn, they will look after you and make sure you have a good time in return for doing some hard labor. So it kind of swings in roundabouts. The other benefit for me with the volunteering is it gets you off grid. It gets you off the tourist trail so that you can really access local communities, local people, local places, and experience the authentic travel, okay? Which to me is so, so special. It is so much more special to be that than just a bog standard tourist. Anyone can be a tourist, but to actually give back and be welcomed in to community life is something very, very special. So we will come back to how you volunteer later, because there are two different ways. I just wanted to make you think about what the concept of volunteering is. Courses. Another very popular thing to do on a gap year, especially for those that want to do a ski season, because since Brexit, since the pandemic, going to do the ski season of old, where you literally pitch up and you're a chalet person for 4 months, is really hard to get. So a lot of people now do courses overseas, especially in Canada, Austria, Switzerland, to become a ski instructor, and then they get a job. Alternatively, if you do want to do a ski season, I would start applying probably this time next year. Okay, so you are really, really ahead of the game. It is really hard and hugely competitive to get a job. So if you're thinking of that you want to do a course or you want to get a job in somewhere like Canada, then a brilliant company to contact is Oyster Worldwide. They specialize in getting people jobs and the visas, which are really complicated in Canada. Brilliant way to skin that cat, as they say. Internships. Now, I know I talked earlier about getting a job between September and Christmas, and don't focus on the kind of career-based internships, because the goal is to earn money. But when you're away, actually getting an overseas internship, if it was career-orientated, is a really good opportunity, because invariably you have more hands-on experience overseas than you would in the UK, especially when it comes to medics, veterinary, and teaching. Okay, you really will be thrown into the deep end and have open, huge experience. And it will be enough of an insight to make you realize and think, actually, is this the career for me? So very easy to organize internships. A very good company to do that through is with projects abroad. They're very good. The next question I want you to think about when you are pondering about how you are going to script your gap year is, how do you want to travel? Okay. Do you want to just backpack with a friend? Do you want to go with an organization so you're a little bit more organized? If you do want to go with an organization, do you want to be team-based, or do you just want to tip up by yourself, be picked up at the other end and go with the flow? Okay, so there are different ways to do it. What we specialize in is team travel. Okay, so we would organize, say, a 4-week program to Colombia, where you're going to go off-grid, going to live with local families in the canyon lands. It's an utterly amazing place. You're going to volunteer, you're going to whitewater raft, you're going to trek, you're going to go to the lost city, do all these types of things, but you're doing it as a team. So it's an instant social life. So those that thinking, I want to do something by myself, but not by myself, this is the route for you. If you were to go on one of our programs, the average team size is anything between 15 and 20 of people that don't know each other before, that are just signing up, and we take care of all the admin. So we all get you onto the same plane and off you go. Yeah, it's one of those scary moments where you think, oh God, am I going to know anyone? Well, I like the people, but invariably you do. And it sounds really cheesy. You're not going to believe me and think, yeah, she would say that. But actually people do make friends for life. So I love this. I'm a kind of big team player, and I like a kind of social life. So this would be the way I would do a gap year. But some people might think, no, that's not for me. So independently travel. So this is where a lot of people would just put a backpack on and go for it. Now, even if you wanted to just cruise around hostel hopping, off you go. I definitely recommend you do it with a friend and not on your own. On your own, it's much harder. It can be quite scary at times, quite intimidating. And actually, shared memories are just so fantastic. So doing it with a friend is brilliant. But you can independently, going back to the volunteering and the internships, yes, we specialize in doing it with a team, but you can. There are other companies out there. Again, I'm going to mention Oyster Worldwide and Projects Abroad. They specialize in volunteering internships abroad, where 1 or 2 people can sign up at any one time. So you literally, if you wanted to do, for example, if you wanted to go and work in turtle conservation with us, we would send you with a team of volunteers to go and work in that sanctuary. With Oyster, they would send you to go just with yourself or with a friend and pitch up to the turtle sanctuary, and then you'd be looked after the local staff when you're there. So you can see there'd be very, very different experiences. And only you know, when you're sitting at the kitchen table chatting to your family, which one best fits you. What we have found over the last few years since COVID is that people actually want a combination of both. So what we found is that people join our team programs, and then we have extendable flights, so that when they've done our team program, they've made their friends, then they go independently traveling afterwards. And, it's kind of a different type of challenge, which the independent traveling is. You've got to be responsible for where you're going to stay, your transport, your food every night. If you're going to do any volunteering, where it is, So the combination is, I would say, the way forward. Now, I just want to briefly talk about the 4 main continents and the trends for gap years. So as to trends for where the gappers are currently going. So since COVID, South and Central America have been the big winners. They are so easy to get to. to navigate and to join up different countries. So the flights are there's kind of the equivalent of, cheap, easy jets linking up all the countries in South and Central America. So if you were doing a 3-month travel program, you could do a month in Colombia, then a month in Guatemala, and then a month in Costa Rica. You can add them all up together with cheap internal flights and just keep going. Each country offers something really different. So, in Peru, it's all about Machu Picchu, the Amazon, the Andes, whereas Costa Rica is all about the Pacific surf and the cloud forest. Guatemala is all about the culture. I mean, amazing ancient Mayan culture. So each country offers something different. So you can really pick and choose your countries to create the perfect gap year itinerary for you. And I help loads of people do that closer to the time. Africa, also popular since COVID, but a harder continent to conquer, only because it is just not that geared up for backpackers. So you have to be really, really organized. But the volunteering experiences in Africa, both volunteering with communities, with wildlife, and in marine conservation, are huge. So if you wanted to volunteer, really think about Africa, because there are so many projects that we know of that would literally bite your hand off for help and energy and your focus. Asia just opened up this year for the gappers. So pre-COVID, this was kind of top of the pops for the gappers because it was cheap, cheerful, and so easy to navigate. It is still cheap and simple to navigate, and is particularly good for those that just want to go backpacking with no particular plan, because it really is it's easy to zip around, and it's really kind of geared up for backpacking. But for kind of volunteering, I think there are kind of better places to go. Australia, New Zealand, well, again, pre-COVID, it was so popular. This year has only been the first year that gappers have gone back. Everyone loves it, okay? Going up, especially the east coast of Australia, working your way up from Melbourne, Sydney, all the way up to the Cape Trib at the top, super easy to do. But the downside of Australia and New Zealand is it is so expensive. So a hostel here, 25 quid a night, $25 a night. Hostel in Asia, probably 7 quid. So your budget is going to go much further in Asia, Africa, Central South America than here. Just going this slide, we've gone over the funding, but just one thing to bear in mind when people say to you, oh, what do you want for your birthday or Christmas? Literally think in hostel nights. So think a typical hostel and supper is going to be 20 quid. Okay, so every 10 quid you earn, every 20 quid that you can pull together is another night's accommodation and supper while you're abroad. So if you kind of bring it back to the bare basics, start saving, squirreling away all the little bits of money that you can earn between now and departure. And there we go. So I highly recommend a gap year. Don't let anybody put you off. Everything that you want to do is achievable. It just requires focus. And I know, and I am very happy to help you plan your gap year. So what to do now? If I was you, I would get your phone out and link into us on Instagram, Gap Year Experts, because between now and Christmas, every week we launch a helpful blog on great jobs, job opportunities, the perfect itinerary around each and every country that I've kind of mentioned today. So it is just kind of free information to help you plan, help you think, help you go off the beaten track. So any questions, give us a call, send us an email, here to help. Goodbye.